Like, you saying you doing this and doing that in your music, then y'all niggas gotta be really doing that shit. That's what Boosie want. And Pooh Shiesty, he gave it to him. You understand? He's saying he feel like the only rapper got more bodies than him on some shot calling shit, because ain't no way he talking about actually doing it. It's Boosie. And when you say that, you can't say that because
Boosie Badazz isn't holding back anymore, and the streets are buzzing. The rapper, known for his outspoken nature and no-filter approach, has finally confronted Pooh Shiesty over claims of snitching, and things are getting messy fast. Fans have been watching quietly for years, seeing subtle jabs, cryptic posts, and heated social media exchanges, but now the tension has spilled into the real world. According to sources close to the situation, Boosie isn't just upset, he's furious. He feels lines were crossed, codes were broken, and the loyalty that the streets demand was betrayed. This isn't just some online drama either. People who've been around both rappers say Boosie called out Pooh in a face-to-face confrontation, and the energy was electric, friends backing up, cameras rolling, words flying, and reputations on the line. Everyone knew something had to give eventually, and now the truth is coming out. Some insiders claim that Boosie has been keeping quiet, waiting for the right moment to address the snitching allegations publicly, and now that moment has arrived. Fans are divided. Some are backing Boosie for standing up to a perceived betrayal, while others are questioning whether this will spark more tension than resolution. One thing is certain, the story isn't just about a dispute anymore. It's about power, respect, and the street code that no one dares to ignore. As the confrontation goes public, the question on everyone's lips is, how far will Boosie take this, and what will Pooh Shiesty do in response? The streets are watching, and the fallout could change the game entirely. The tension between Boosie Badazz and Pooh Shiesty had been simmering for months, but the streets only caught the first real glimpse when the whispers became impossible to ignore. People close to the situation say it started with social media posts that seemed harmless on the surface, cryptic quotes, subtle name drops, and indirect shots. But those in the know recognized the message instantly. The code had been broken, and Boosie wasn't about to let it slide. Boosie has always been a man of action rather than words. His career, his reputation, and his influence in the streets weren't built by waiting silently. From the beginning, he established himself as someone who demanded respect, not just from fans, but from peers and everyone in his orbit. And when he heard the rumors that Pooh Shiesty was allegedly snitching, it wasn't just a personal slight, it was a challenge to everything Boosie stood for. Loyalty, respect, and the street code are the pillars of his world, and anyone stepping out of line was bound to feel his wrath. Sources close to both rappers say that Boosie had been quietly gathering information, confirming stories, and watching how Pooh acted in public and private. What made the situation explosive wasn't just the alleged snitching, it was the manner in which it allegedly came to light. In the streets, there's a difference between staying out of trouble and actively betraying someone's trust, and Boosie felt that line had been crossed. This wasn't about petty drama, it was about the foundation of respect that he had worked his whole life to maintain. The confrontation reportedly took place in a setting where tension could not be ignored. Eyewitnesses describe Boosie as calm on the surface, but every word, gesture, and look carried weight. He didn't yell, and he didn't overreact, but every statement landed with precision. The energy in the room was charged, thick with anticipation, as if everyone present knew a historical moment in hip-hop street culture was unfolding. Friends of Boosie say he doesn't confront people for the sake of clout. He does it to assert boundaries and make sure lines aren't crossed again. And this time, Pooh Shiesty was at the center of the storm. According to insiders, the conversation didn't start with accusations. Boosie opened with questions, gauging Pooh's response and trying to see if there was a way to reconcile. But the tension was palpable. It became clear quickly that the breach of trust wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a calculated action, at least in Boosie's eyes. Friends recount seeing Boosie's expression shift from measured to serious in a matter of minutes. The room, once casual, grew silent, every eye on both men. People say you could feel the history and reputation of both rappers colliding in that moment. Boosie isn't just reacting emotionally, he's strategic. He's built an empire that spans music, influence, and street credibility. Allowing someone to step out of line without consequence sends a dangerous message, both to the public and to those around him. And in the streets, reputation moves faster than money. A single misstep can undo years of respect, and Boosie knows that better than most. His confrontation wasn't meant to humiliate Pooh Shiesty, it was meant to draw a line in the sand, a clear signal that betrayal comes with accountability. At the same time, this situation highlights a larger culture in hip-hop. The codes, unspoken rules, and expectations of loyalty run deep. When whispers of snitching surface, it's not just the alleged act, it's a threat to the integrity of the community. Boosie understands that the streets are always watching. Every move, every reaction is documented, remembered, and judged. That's why he chose to confront the issue directly rather than letting it fester online or in rumors. Insiders suggest that Pooh Shiesty was visibly uncomfortable during the conversation. It wasn't that he didn't have a response, it was that the weight of the situation had finally hit him. When Boosie speaks, it carries credibility, authority, and history. He's someone who's seen the highs and lows, the loyalty and betrayal, and the consequences of each choice. Standing in front of him, for the first time, Pooh had to face more than just accusations. He faced the judgment of a man whose reputation was forged in real-life battles, both in the music industry and the streets. Boosie reportedly didn't hold back in expressing the implications of broken trust. He emphasized that this wasn't about personal beef alone, it was about the consequences that come from betraying confidence and the street code. People close to the situation say he laid it out clearly: loyalty isn't optional, and when the rules are broken, the repercussions are serious. Every word he spoke was measured, strategic, and delivered in a way that left little room for misinterpretation. Friends of Boosie say that while he is fiercely protective of his circle, he's not reckless. His approach to confrontation is deliberate. He wants the world to see that respect is earned and trust is sacred. The confrontation wasn't a viral moment staged for social media, it was a reality check. Everyone who witnessed it reportedly came away understanding one thing: Boosie Badazz isn't someone to test, and he doesn't take betrayal lightly. Even after the conversation ended, the fallout continued. Sources say that Boosie followed up privately with people who were involved in the situation, ensuring that the message was received and understood. For him, this wasn't just a moment of anger, it was a lesson in accountability, a demonstration of how boundaries are enforced. The streets, his fans, and the wider hip-hop community were all watching, whether they realized it or not. Observers also note that this confrontation reflects a larger issue within hip-hop culture: the intersection of loyalty, fame, and personal ambition. Boosie has always been outspoken about staying true to one's principles, and this situation embodies that ethos. When someone steps out of line, he doesn't just react for show. He reacts because the integrity of the community and the respect of peers demand it. Every action has a consequence, and Boosie's actions send a clear signal that betrayal isn't tolerated, no matter who is involved. For the fans, the confrontation was both shocking and illuminating. Many had seen the tension building online, but seeing it play out in real life brought clarity to the situation. Boosie's reputation as a fierce, no-nonsense figure in the rap game was reinforced, and the narrative around Pooh Shiesty shifted. The conversation became a cautionary tale. Respect and loyalty aren't abstract concepts, they're currency, and mismanaging them comes at a cost. Those close to the situation emphasized that Boosie's approach wasn't rooted in ego, it was rooted in principle. He didn't need to exaggerate or embellish. His history, influence, and credibility speak for themselves. The confrontation was a reminder to everyone involved that trust is fragile, and once broken, it requires more than words to repair. The street code is unforgiving, and Boosie's handling of the situation underscores why he has remained a respected figure in hip-hop for so many years. By the end of the encounter, the message was clear: Boosie Badazz doesn't back down when lines are crossed, and the repercussions of disloyalty are serious. The incident isn't just a headline, it's a reflection of the stakes involved in the rap game, the value of respect, and the consequences of betrayal. For Pooh Shiesty, the confrontation is a turning point, and for Boosie, it's a reaffirmation of his principles, his power, and his standing in the community. While the public may only see fragments of what happened, those who witnessed the confrontation describe it as intense, sobering, and definitive. Boosie has proven time and again that he's willing to defend his name, his friends, and his values, and this situation is no exception. The drama isn't about petty rivalry. It's about the intersection of respect, loyalty, and consequences in a world where every action is watched, remembered, and judged. As the dust settles, one thing is clear. The conversation around Boosie and Pooh Shiesty isn't over. What happened in that room won't stay contained for long. The ripples of this confrontation are spreading, and fans, peers, and industry insiders are all watching closely. It's a story about loyalty, accountability, and the lengths one man will go to uphold his principles, no matter who stands in his way. And while the public waits for what comes next, one undeniable truth remains. Boosie Badazz has made it crystal clear that in his world, respect isn't optional, trust isn't negotiable, and crossing the line comes with consequences that are impossible to ignore. The aftermath of the confrontation didn't just fade away quietly. In the streets, news travels fast, and in hip-hop, every story carries weight. Boosie's handling of Pooh Shiesty sent shockwaves, and people began dissecting every angle. Those who thought it was just another rap feud quickly realized this was bigger. It was about reputation, street credibility, and the code that governs the game. Loyalty isn't just appreciated, it's required. And anyone stepping out of line learns that the hard way. While Boosie had made his point clear, the ripple effect was just beginning. Fans flooded social media with speculation, reactions, and commentary, but those closest to the situation say the real story is deeper than Instagram posts or tweets. There were private conversations, subtle warnings, and people quietly weighing their alliances. Some say Boosie's strategy was brilliant. He didn't attack publicly, he didn't make a spectacle, but his message was crystal clear. Disloyalty would not be tolerated, no matter who you are. Pooh Shiesty, on the other hand, found himself under unprecedented scrutiny. Friends who had once supported him began questioning his actions. Rumors that had been whispered in small circles suddenly became public discussion points. People began analyzing past interactions, looking for signs of betrayal, and connecting dots that had previously gone unnoticed. In the streets and online, reputation is everything, and Pooh's credibility started taking hits. Sources familiar with both artists say that Boosie's reputation for dealing with issues directly is well known. He doesn't escalate for clout, but when lines are crossed, he ensures that lessons are learned. Witnesses report that during the confrontation, Boosie was calm but unyielding. Every statement carried the weight of experience, history, and authority. His presence alone reminded everyone in the room why he commands respect. The combination of his words, demeanor, and legacy in the streets made the tension tangible. For Boosie, this wasn't just about Pooh Shiesty, it was about sending a message to everyone in his circle. Loyalty isn't situational, it's permanent. Betrayal isn't just forgiven because fame or money is involved. Those who have worked with him in the past say that he treats respect like currency. And in hip-hop, respect often outweighs talent, popularity, or success. One wrong move, one misstep in trust, and the consequences are immediate and lasting. Insiders describe Boosie's follow-up strategy as methodical. After the confrontation, he checked in with mutual contacts, ensured everyone understood his stance, and subtly reminded the streets why he remains influential. He didn't need to post videos or make statements online. The people who mattered already knew. And that's the power he wields. Influence that doesn't require public display, a presence felt through action rather than performance. At the same time, the tension brought up larger questions about loyalty in modern hip-hop. The business has changed, fame spreads fast, and people often have to navigate complicated networks of alliances and obligations. Boosie's response wasn't just about personal betrayal, it was a commentary on a culture where the line between friend and foe can blur quickly. Staying true to one's principles while navigating fame, money, and influence is a delicate balance, and Boosie demonstrated how seriously he takes it. Observers close to Pooh Shiesty say he faced a harsh reality check. The confrontation made him reconsider past decisions. the company he keeps, and the stories he's been associated with. Trust, once broken, is not easily repaired. For young rappers in particular, seeing someone like Boosie enforce boundaries so decisively is both intimidating and educational. It's a reminder that the streets remember everything and actions always have consequences. While some fans focused on the drama, insiders point out the strategic side of Boosie's moves. He isn't just reacting emotionally, he's safeguarding his legacy. Every interaction, every decision, reinforces his position in the community. By addressing the issue directly, he not only protects his reputation, but also establishes a precedent. Crossing him or the code comes at a high price. That kind of authority doesn't happen overnight. It's earned through years of action, respect, and understanding the intricate dynamics of street culture. The confrontation also sparked conversations among other artists. Many rappers in Boosie's circle began reflecting on their own relationships, loyalty, and the importance of standing by their word. In hip-hop, examples like this aren't just entertainment, they're lessons. How Boosie handled the situation reinforced his reputation as someone who commands respect without theatrics, someone whose influence is undeniable, and someone whose principles guide every move. Meanwhile, whispers about Pooh Shiesty's alleged actions continued circulating, both in the streets and online. Some defended him, claiming misunderstandings or exaggerations. Others criticized him, saying the confrontation was long overdue. Regardless of perspective, it was clear that Boosie had redefined the narrative. The story wasn't about a public feud, it was about accountability, consequences, and the serious weight of loyalty. Friends close to Boosie say he is strategic, but not vengeful. He doesn't seek to destroy. He seeks to correct, educate, and establish boundaries. The message is clear. Respect is earned, trust is sacred, and betrayal will not be ignored. That philosophy has shaped his career, his relationships, and his approach to the streets. And now, through this confrontation, it became evident to everyone watching that Boosie takes that code seriously. People who witnessed or heard about the confrontation describe it as intense yet controlled. Boosie didn't raise his voice, didn't threaten publicly, and didn't post online. He relied on presence, words, and experience. Those who know him say that's how he has maintained power for so long. Influence, they explain, isn't just about fans or streams, it's about people in your world understanding that you're serious, principled, and capable of action when necessary. As the story spread, fans and industry insiders alike began drawing conclusions. Boosie had set the tone for accountability in a space where people often evade consequences. His approach reinforced his credibility and reminded everyone why he's not just a rapper, he's a figure whose influence extends beyond music into culture, street life, and mentorship. It wasn't about drama, it was about standards. Pooh Shiesty's response, or lack thereof in public, further amplified the story. Some say he quietly acknowledged the confrontation, while others believe he is recalibrating his relationships and actions. Either way, Boosie's handling of the situation is the headline: calm, firm, strategic, and unforgettable. The ripple effects continue, reminding fans and peers alike that loyalty isn't negotiable and betrayal carries consequences. What stands out the most in this saga is the way Boosie balances power, principle, and perception. He understands that in hip-hop, visibility is constant and reputations are fragile. But he also knows that action speaks louder than words. By confronting the situation directly, he reaffirmed his authority, his integrity, and the seriousness of the code he lives by. It's a lesson for anyone watching. Respect, loyalty, and trust are the currency of influence, and Boosie commands all three. Even now, weeks after the confrontation, conversations about the incident continue to surface. Fans debate the morality, the strategy, and the cultural significance. Industry insiders dissect the power dynamics and the precedent it sets. And for Boosie, it's business as usual. Principles defended, reputation intact, and authority reinforced. His message is unmistakable. In his world, crossing the line isn't tolerated, and accountability is immediate. Through it all, one thing is clear: the Boosie versus Pooh Shiesty confrontation isn't just another story. It's a case study in loyalty, consequence, and influence. It's a reminder that in hip-hop, respect is earned, trust is sacred, and every action carries weight. And as fans, peers, and critics continue to weigh in, the story keeps evolving, one ripple at a time. At the end of the day, Boosie Badazz's approach has left a mark. The streets, the fans, and the culture itself have taken notice. Whether people agree or disagree, one undeniable truth remains: Boosie doesn't compromise on principles, doesn't ignore betrayal, and doesn't allow disloyalty to go unchecked. That's the lesson and the legacy he's making crystal clear. After the dust settled from the confrontation, the streets and the culture kept talking. Boosie didn't make a spectacle of it, but everyone knew the message had landed. In hip-hop, that kind of influence isn't measured by likes or streams, it's measured by respect and credibility. And after this incident, Boosie's stock in both categories skyrocketed. People who had doubted him now understood why he commands authority in the game. For Pooh Shiesty, the confrontation left a permanent mark. It wasn't just about the argument, it was about accountability and reputation. People began re-examining his past actions, alliances, and credibility. Friends, collaborators, and fans started asking questions. Who can you trust? Who's loyal? And most importantly, who's willing to face consequences for stepping out of line? In a culture where image often overshadows integrity, this was a serious wake-up call. Industry insiders noted that Boosie's approach was surgical. He didn't rely on social media clout, he didn't escalate. With public drama, he addressed the issue directly and privately, letting the streets do the rest. That strategy reinforced the kind of respect that isn't earned through flashy moves or viral moments. It's earned through principle, decisiveness, and consistency. Those who witnessed the confrontation say Boosie's calm yet firm demeanor left an impression that would last a lifetime. Meanwhile, the conversation about loyalty in modern hip-hop intensified. This incident sparked debates among young artists and veterans alike about ethics, respect, and the unspoken rules of the streets. Boosie's handling of the situation became a reference point, a lesson in balancing influence, strategy, and integrity. His peers understood that in this game, reputation is everything and actions, even quiet ones, speak volumes. The fallout wasn't just personal, it reshaped narratives in the music world. Fans dissected interviews, analyzed social media activity, and scrutinized both Boosie and Pooh's every move. Commentary flooded online platforms, with opinions split between admiration for Boosie's control and criticism of Pooh's alleged actions. One thing was clear: the story had transcended a simple confrontation. It had become a cultural moment, a case study in trust, accountability, and consequence. Boosie didn't stop at making his point. He leveraged the moment to reinforce his legacy. Through appearances, music, and community influence, he reminded everyone that respect is earned and betrayal is remembered. He showed that leadership isn't about aggression or spectacle, it's about clarity, principle, and consistent action. The streets, industry insiders, and fans alike now had a vivid example of what happens when someone crosses the line. For Pooh Shiesty, the long-term impact was evident. Collaborators became cautious, fans grew skeptical, and the industry took note. In hip-hop, reputation can shift overnight, and this confrontation reminded everyone that loyalty is the ultimate currency. Even subtle missteps can become defining moments, shaping perception and opportunities. As the dust finally settled, one truth remained: Boosie had reaffirmed his place as a powerful figure in the streets and the culture. His handling of the situation demonstrated that influence isn't measured by popularity or streaming numbers. It's measured by principle, decisiveness, and the ability to enforce accountability without unnecessary drama. He had sent a clear message: loyalty isn't optional, trust isn't negotiable, and betrayal has consequences. The story also left a lasting lesson for the wider hip-hop community. Emerging artists observed the scenario closely, understanding that fame and money don't excuse disloyalty. Veteran artists recognized the importance of enforcing unspoken rules while maintaining integrity. The conversation sparked by this incident highlighted the delicate balance between personal principles and professional success, a balance Boosie navigated masterfully. In the end, the confrontation between Boosie and Pooh Shiesty became more than a headline. It became a lesson, a cultural touchpoint, and a defining moment in both of their careers. Boosie emerged with his credibility intact, reinforcing his status as a respected figure who leads through action, not words. Pooh Shiesty faced the consequences of choices made, the scrutiny of peers and fans, and the challenge of rebuilding trust. The streets, fans, and industry insiders continue to revisit the story, dissecting every detail and weighing the implications. What started as a heated confrontation transformed into a lesson on loyalty, reputation, and accountability in hip-hop. And through it all, Boosie proved that in a world where fame and money can blur lines, principle, strategy, and respect remain unshakable pillars of true influence. Ultimately, the narrative isn't just about one confrontation, it's about the rules, codes, and realities of the culture. Boosie Badazz set a precedent, showing that crossing the line carries weighty consequences. Pooh Shiesty's story serves as a cautionary tale about the cost of disloyalty, while Boosie's actions underscore the enduring power of respect, principle, and decisive action. As the conversation continues, one thing is certain. In the world of hip-hop, respect is everything and loyalty is priceless. Boosie's handling of this confrontation ensures that this lesson will not be forgotten anytime soon. The echoes of this moment will be felt for years, shaping how artists, fans, and the streets approach trust, alliances, and accountability.